Work-life balance. Finding the balance point is very specific, and it feels like there's always some kind of trade-off, with even the slightest change causing the scale to tip one way or the other. And so for me, the idea of balancing doesn't really imply a sustainable strategy. And so I think where I've managed to overcome a lot of angst and guilt in managing the work-life balance is by not thinking about it as a balance at all, and thinking about it more like an integration. And as an alternative visualization to the weighing scale, the best one I've come up with is Jenga, or Topple blocks. If, like me, you grew up with a knockoff version from Marks and Spencer's. As if I didn't come across posh enough already. But I think the balancing act in Jenga is much more representative of finding how to integrate work and life. And in a game of Jenga, you have a finite number of blocks. So to build the tower higher, you have to take blocks from somewhere else in the tower. And if you think of each block in the Jenga set representing your roles, responsibilities, values, interests, and priorities, things like friendship, a project at work, if we need to have an extra block available for that project at work, we might have to sacrifice going out with that friend, which I think is exactly representative of if you want to do something additional or extra, you have to borrow or take capacity from some other activity that you are doing in your life. And as you increase the height of that tower and kind of move blocks around, there's some wiggle room in where you can take blocks from and how you can stack them to build it higher and higher. But ultimately, at some point, the tower will topple. And I think this is a nice analogy because sometimes you'll play Jenga and you'll be able to build it really high. Sometimes you won't be able to build it that high at all, because it all depends where you've taken the blocks from and how that affects the overall balance of everything. And when you're moving blocks around while you're playing the game, some of them are quite easy to take out and move. Others are much more firmly stuck and much more critical to the overall balance of the tower. And I think this is somewhat representative of the foundations that we might have. And I of course realize that this is not how you play Jenga, but sometimes you might be able to maintain that balance or tower for much longer if you could put some of the blocks back and fill in some of the foundations that had been removed. I think that is what you need to do for a work-life integration so that the whole thing doesn't come tumbling down. And so I found that thinking about work-life integration as more of a Jenga tower that needs to stay upright rather than a weighing scale that needs to be balanced exactly at a very precise point has been much healthier in terms of my overall attitude to how I choose and prioritize what activities I'm doing between work and life. Thanks very much for watching, and hope to see you again soon.